This week's cold case is on Molly Zelko, who disappeared September 25, 1957. This is Amelia Zelko, who disappeared September 25, 1957 from Joliet, Illinois. Respectfully, I will refer to her as Molly, her nickname, for the remainder of the video. But first, let's rewind back in time as we always do to see what was going on in the U.S. in 1957. Dwight Eisenhower was our 34th president. Elvis Presley bought Graceland in 1957. Elvis Presley also had the #1 song for 1957, All Shook Up. Dr. Seuss published The Cat in the Hat. Also being published was The Spectator, and that is where we find Molly Zelko. Molly was not only a reporter for the weekly newspaper, she was also the paper's longtime secretary and treasurer, business manager, and co-owner. Here is a timeline leading up to Molly's disappearance. In 1927, 17-year-old Molly meets Bill McCabe. She was his secretary at his law firm. In 1936, Bill McCabe buys The Spectator, and Molly joins him. Molly and Bill never hesitated to get the truth of a story. They investigated and wrote about corrupt politicians, gambling, mobsters, and other various crimes that were happening during that time. In 1948, perhaps they got a little too close to a story, as Bill McCabe was brutally beaten and left for dead, although he did not pass away for another 10 years. Bill's beating put a lot more responsibility on Molly, and in 1951 she acquired more shares of the paper. In 1953, Molly is involved in a tape-recording phone call conversations between local contractors rigging bids on city contracts. And at this time, Molly and Bill lease safe deposit boxes, and a year later makes out a will leaving her possessions to family and friends, including Bill. In 1957, Molly installs a private phone in her Spectator's office. She also starts telling close friends she's in trouble and that she's going to get her head blown off. She would also tell friends if she ever got in trouble and had to run, she would leave her shoes. On September 15, 1957, Molly sends a reporter and photographer team for a second time to get the story on a new gambling house that had opened. On September 25, 1957, Molly leaves her office and is never seen again. Molly lived in an apartment that was a 3-minute drive from The Spectator. Molly left the office at 11:30 p.m. after working late, prepping for the next day publication. Her coworker says she was in good spirits when she left. When Molly failed to show up for work the next morning, everyone feared the worst. It wasn't like Molly to miss work. The editor-manager called the police. Let's go over the investigation. The police found Molly's car parked in front of her apartment. The keys were found under the front seat where she usually kept them. Her neighbors reported hearing screams and a car driving away fast between midnight and 12:15 a.m. The police stated they found one black leather shoe laying on top of the trunk of Molly's car, and the other shoe was found nearby. These shoes were identified by employees of The Spectators as the shoes Molly was wearing when she left the office. Oddly, they both had scratches on the inside of the shoes of what looks like the letter K. The police checked her apartment but found no signs of Molly, a break-in, or a scuffle. The police came to the conclusion that Molly drove home, parked, and walked towards the back of her car and was taken. Many reporters became all but obsessed with Molly's disappearance and wanted to find her. In 1958, James Green Hornet Rennie, a longtime criminal, was considered a suspect and confessed to Molly's murder, even going as far as pointing out locations of where she was buried. He confessed this to Robert Kennedy, who was counsel to the Senate Rackets Committee at the time. However, Rennie later recanted his confession, saying he just wanted them to leave him alone, so he told them what he thought they wanted to hear. Robert Kennedy himself dug looking for Molly. He was never convinced that Rennie had lied. In 1964, Molly was legally declared dead, 7 years after her disappearance. In 1978, some more leads came in. In 1978, a bartender from a local bar came forward and said he saw Molly shortly after she left work. She stopped in his bar, had a drink, and made 2 long-distance telephone calls at a phone booth, but he didn't report this for 21 years. In the same year, a witness claimed to have seen 4 men with a black car bury a woman's body near the bottom of an open storm sewer ditch near Molly's home the same day she vanished, although this was never confirmed. Molly's case remains unsolved. She was 47 years old when she disappeared. She was 5'5", she weighed 118 pounds, and she had brown hair. If you have any information on this case, please call 815-724-3020. If you like this video, give it a like. Also, follow and/or subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. Make sure to check out our shorts and reels as we post daily. And if you have a cold case that you want covered, Be sure to let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Bye, guys.